Improvement practice 1 for us in the bye week. Great opportunity for us to focus on us. It's really been, kind of our focus the entire year so far. I think we're trending in the right direction. Got some really good work. Got an opportunity to get some young guys some more opportunities and reps. Also got opportunities to get our old guys better, right, and develop our roster, continue to grow. Certainly we're IDing some things this week. Each player on our team has a personal individual improvement plan, something that they're working on that they can get better at. Coaches are being really specific with them in their growth. We're going to look to continue to grow. We'll have similar practices the rest of the week.
What's the coaching point on the targeting ball for Dante other than just aim lower?
Yeah, we want to hit in the strike zone, right? We want to make sure we don't lead with our helmet or our shoulder in a launching position. I think every one of us could express frustration with the rule. I think there's an intent in the rule, and we want to make sure that we're protecting people, and we want to keep people safe in the way we play. So we have to coach hitting in the strike zone, right? Making sure that we're not launching in a way that would create a penalty, and making sure we're keeping our head out of it.
Where does that personal improvement plan come from? Does that change on like a week-to-week basis for one of you guys?
Well, we don't always get to narrow it down and say this is the one thing we got to get better at. A lot of times you'll approach a week and you're like, hey, here's the 5 things we got to do to win a game, right? This week we can be really intentional. We can say, hey, this is the one thing that I really want to be better at the end of the week, and then that's going to carry over to a game week.
Other team factors momentum when you're game planning for the running game, maybe choosing the next running back for the next drive. How much of a factor is momentum when you decide on this?
You're talking about how the running back's been running so far, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think that gets assessed. Certainly aware of that. We generally talk about how we're going to play the players before the game's ever played. I mean, we always do that. So, not usually a shock. There's certain plays we like to run with certain guys, certain situations we want to be in, but certainly momentum could be a factor.
You mentioned there's individual improvement plans. Is there a thing or two? I mean, last couple weeks you've had, I guess, red zone and penalty stuff. Is there a thing or two you assess from Arizona that are focal points for the team this week?
Yeah, we have so just like we have an individual improvement plan, we got these 4 things on offense that we're going to get better at. These 4 things on defense that we're going to get better at. Special teams in this unit, here's where we want to see cited improvement. So I think you have to be really clear. It's really a big week for self-scout where we go back and self-evaluate what we've done well, what we've done poor, and then how we can build off of that and grow from there.
Where's third down defense, particularly
on that list?
Yeah, I was just saying the medium range this past week. How troubling was that?
It's really actually poor on both sides. I know we only had, I think, 8 opportunities for third down on offense. But in general, third down's an improvement piece for us. We've evaluated it pretty close.
Gonzo moved around a lot on defense, but a lot in the slot. What did you make of his ability to be multiple out there?
I think it's a tough challenge for him, but obviously we think really highly of Christian. He's the kind of player that we can put in a lot of different positions. They had a really talented slot receiver. We wanted to be able to see him move around there, and I thought he handled the first game of that, doing it pretty well. If you guys remember going back into fall camp, we said we want to train guys at multiple positions and be able to see what they can do. And that's a great example of a guy not necessarily getting a ton of reps throughout the season at one spot and then being able to go and adjust on the fly.
Seeing the film and knowing who he had to play against last week, Florence's improvements or his play against Arizona, having to replace Manning?
Yeah, I thought he did some good things. I think he did some poor things. He's got to learn to play less handsy at times, right? We got to eliminate the penalties. He's putting himself in position to play, and he's playing with a brand of physicality that you want, but we got to eliminate the penalties.
How did you assess, before the targeting call, Dante's performance?
Yeah, he did some really good things. I thought he played with a brand of physicality. Had a nice tackle on third down. Dante's continued to show up and has proven that he's earned an opportunity to play.
You mentioned last week that you didn't think of Bo as a sliding type of quarterback. Can you talk about where you sort of lean on the putting your nose down and also sliding from that QB position?
Yeah, it's tough. You want to protect yourself, obviously, but you also want first downs and touchdowns. So I appreciate the way that he plays the game of football. He plays it with a physical toughness. He also at times is going to have to be smart and make sure he protects himself.
You talk about some of the offensive self-scouting, Dan. You guys started to pick up a little bit on some of the running back splits by way of distance from Bo and some stuff. Sometimes you do, even on some effective plays, but like you talked about, like the Bennett play, you guys set up something, picked up something formationally. Obviously, turns into not just a negative play, a turnover. Certain tendencies are starting to get there, I think, a little bit with the running backs. But you guys noticing that and picking up?
Yeah, it shows up. That's the same reason you'll see us at weeks. We'll play with the back behind the quarterback in pistol formation. At times we'll be in the gun. We move them around quite a bit. We shift. We motion them, right, a good amount. So certainly something we're aware of. I'll say this, in my opinion, great teams have tendencies, right? If you're a great team, you're going to have tendencies. They're going to show up. You just have to be aware of those tendencies as a coach.
The punter looked like it was decided for a moment, and then seems looks like it's back open again. Just what are you hoping to see over this nearly 2-week stretch to get that little bit
just
more
like every
solid?
position, you got to continue to perform at a high level, and we have guys on our roster that can compete, and we're going to keep competition going. You know, it's not just that position; it's every position.
At this point in the season, have you had conversations with a lot of players about redshirting? Do you know who's redshirting yet and who's not?
That's not, a huge discussion for us right now. Our focus right now is playing. You know, we're aware of it. We track it every single week of where guys are at. If somebody can help us and help our team perform, we want to be able to utilize those players. And I think a lot of players on our team want to be able to do that.
As a first-time head coach, how do you sort of grade yourself through this first half of the season, and what do you feel like you still have room to improve?
I got a lot to improve. I'm not in charge of grading myself. That's not my job. But we do a self-scout of our program. I do a self-scout of myself. What things can I do better, right? So that's going to continue to exist. I'm going to continue to grow and develop as a coach.
With Kamari and Devin in particular, they both got to the 4 games and didn't travel. Was that redshirt management, or is that something else?
Again, I'm not really discussing that with you guys, but if people are available and can help us, we want them out there on the field for us.
There seems to be a trend on social media where a lot of players are tweeting out videos and highlight videos of other players on the team. Is that something you guys as a coaching staff are pushing, or is that just kind of born organically?
Yeah, that's not necessarily something we're pushing. It's always great when your players love each other and want to be able to do that.
For some of the guys who are out longer term, just wanted to see if there's optimism with their return after the bye with Stephen Jones. And you mentioned Popo out for the year, but is there a chance of petition for another year possibly?
Yeah, there definitely is. We're definitely evaluating that with Popo, and we're going to get the rest of our guys back.
Coach, how do you feel the DBs responded after giving up some of those deep balls to Cowling, just the way that they responded in their play?
Yeah, I thought our guys played, in a lot of ways, maybe our most complete game. Going back and evaluating, I think we definitely could have done some stuff better special teams-wise. And then, we have to be able to finish. There's a couple penalties in drives that extended drives and gave them an opportunity to throw the ball down the field. We got to do a better job there. But we were advantageous with takeaways. Outside of 2 running plays, we did a good job of, stopping the run, and we knew that they were going to have a good passing game. But I thought our guys responded well.
What's the balance this week of self-scouting, self-improvement, but also using extra time to look ahead to UCLA next week?
Yeah, not just UCLA, really every team that we're going to play. So we have teach periods in every single one of our practices where we're focusing on future opponents and things that'll show up for us. But it's a balance.
Last week, the NCAA announced the spring transfer window would not be in May, it would be in the last 2 weeks of April. Now that you have this bye week to talk about it, but initial thoughts and how that might impact what you think about the spring game, and that there's one school of thought of do the spring game as early as possible, potentially get transfers in at the end of April. The other school of thought is do it as late as possible and get transfers in for the spring game. Do you have an early assessment of what you're thinking?
I honestly haven't put a lot of thought into it. Really focused on the next game right now.
For this weekend, with how vast are the recruiting plans to get guys on the road for?
Yeah, we got a plan. We'll be out on the road really Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and some Saturday as well.
How do you feel like it's just gone recruiting-wise? Having actual games to talk about, hey, this is what our vision is, and being able to show and reference that. How do you feel like recruiting's just gone in general?
Yeah, I think it's gone well. I'll say this next game, I'm hoping to have some really great players on campus. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Obviously, getting the opportunity to play UCLA, who's a really good team, clicking on all cylinders right now. But that environment, I think, from our fans and for recruits, is going to be really special.
This team is, of course, obviously already revealed the jersey that you guys will be wearing in the next game. What's your thoughts on the jersey, and how special is it to be able to represent that cause?
I love the way we're partnered with Nike and the things that they can develop for us and our team. But obviously, this kind of has a special place for me from a cancer standpoint, just because my wife's a cancer survivor. And I think it's really always special when you have a stage and you can do it for a special cause.
Is there a particular position group or area you guys are really focusing on by way of recruiting specifically? I mean, always it's broad, but I mean, is there one in particular that, given the class together?
No, I wouldn't say there's one. I mean, you got to continue to evaluate your roster and look to improve across the board.
How have you seen Ty Thompson progress? And he's gotten in, I think, 4 times in the late in games. Have you kind of assessed him so far?
Yeah, I know he would love to have some moments back, but I think he's done some good things too. He made some really good run checks this past game and was able to assess what the defensive lineup was in. He looked really good in practice today, did some good things today in practice. So continue to be excited about his development. I talk to our players as a whole, not Ty, the entire team. If you're the same player you were in week 1 right now, shame on you, right? We should be better. And Ty's a guy that's getting better. You guys don't always see all the work. You only see the game film, right? We see all the work in practice. And every one of our players, we want to see him continue to develop.
One of the marketing messages mentioned referenced 17 seniors. You guys don't have 17 seniors from an eligibility standpoint. You have more than that from an academic standpoint. So are there
You'd have to
certain
talk to marketing on that. That's a great question for Nate and these guys.
Fair enough.
The possibility of a college game to come to Eugene for the UCLA game, do you guys realize that? How special is that to your team and the atmosphere to Eugene for the student section?
Yeah, it could be elite. I think there's going to be a special game, regardless of who comes, doesn't come. This is going to be an elite atmosphere, and you love to have an opportunity as a coach and a player to play great teams. It's a great team coming to play us. Again, we're not really there yet. We're not spending all of our time on them, but I know that environment's going to be really special, and hope we can create a special one here.
Before the road games, I think I've noticed a trend where you take a kind of a solo walk around the field. What are you doing there? What's going through your mind? What is that taking in the stadium? Is there anything in particular?
No, it's just something I've always done. Whenever I go to a different stadium, I want to walk it, make sure I understand where the play clock's at, get a feel for the atmosphere, get that knocked out of the way for me early so I can be focused on the game when we get there.
Is that your entire career, or did that start at a certain point?
Yeah, pretty much my entire career. I remember doing that when I was like Park Hill South High School, and we go to Fort Osage and you got to walk the field before the game.
Is there a
Last question.
particular, like you talked about how you've been really confident in Bo the whole time and believe him, certainly saw his athleticism. But is there any metric, any split that is even surprising to you, Dan? Because there's a lot that he's done that have obviously exceeded so far what his career stats were. But is there any area of the field, any area of performance that exceeds even what you thought was possible?
Bo's playing well. We're excited that he's doing that, and it's what we've known he can do. It's not a big surprise. I think I would challenge everybody, including Bo and myself and everybody on our staff and everybody out there, don't let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. It's about continued performance, continually putting that together, and we don't get hung up in the moment. He's done a good job. I think he'll continue to do a good job, but that's because he has, really level focus.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.